let you guys meet, first and foremost, we realized last year that our East Coast and West Coast North Carolinians, they'd never met, and some of our West North Carolinians had never met. And I'm like, you guys are just like an hour apart, so, you could actually work together maybe. And so I'm excited to I'll bring up the local boys first. Alan, are you gonna be, okay. He's gonna just give his perspective from the audience. Skip Wallace. Yay. And Skip is a new North Carolinian.
Yeah, I don't really count, sorry.
Right. Well, you've been here for like 2 years now, right?
3 years, I think.
3 years. Are you getting how it's a little different?
Oh yeah, now I love it.
Great, that's awesome. All right, and then he screened some short films yesterday. And then let's see who we have next. Joe and Cheyenne, come on up here. These two came from Wilmington area, and Joseph Day, he actually brought us a film last year for our film festival, and it wound up winning Best North Carolina Film. So we're happy to have him back with his brand new producer, giving it a little feminine touch. Thanks you guys again for coming all this way. And then we have two ladies out here who I just met. We have the director and filmmaker, Christine Parker, and Carrie Jones, and their film is going to be screening tomorrow also, and it's called Telltale Heart Sisters. Did I miss anybody? I think we're pretty good. And let's see, you guys can like.
Okay, yeah.
I got like a short course right now. Who's Dave's brother?
All right, well, thanks you guys so much for being here. And I just kind of wanted to, because you guys are probably like, gosh, she just says it over and over again, but we're trying to raise awareness here in the Outer Banks and bring film here locally. We're passionate about film, and we want to support you guys, and we want to build the industry so that all of us can benefit from it. We were going great for a while down there in Wilmington, the Hunger Games and Iron Man, and Disney was probably going to sign on for like 5 more films, and then they cut those tax incentives, and so I definitely want to touch upon that and see if any of you guys were affected. I know not you yet, but we're going to try to get it back, I think, or people are just going to leave and go to Georgia or LA like you, Joe Day.
Probably.
So let's get to know each other. Maybe if you want to tell everybody, if in case they weren't here, like how you guys got into filmmaking.
Oh, that's a loaded question. I've been interested in film my entire life, but I really got into it when I moved down here when I was 18 to go to film school at UNCW. That's how Joe and I met. Our freshman year of college actually is when they cut the incentives, so it was kind of like, really? Just got here. So from an education perspective, it really impacted any opportunities alumni had prior. We still had a lot, more than some people do, but it definitely impacted it that way.
And I do, just in case you guys missed it, your film that we screened yesterday, you guys actually were able to get a grant.
Yes.
From North Carolina. So maybe introduce yourself and talk about that a little bit.
Okay, yeah. Is this on? Yeah. So I'm Joe Day. I directed this short that screened yesterday, and I had a film in last year. I got into filmmaking, I don't know, I've always wanted to be a filmmaker, like since I was like 5 when I saw Star Wars, and asked my family how it was done, and like they didn't know, so I just started trying to figure it out myself. We submitted for the grant. Cucalores is a film festival in Wilmington, and they do this program every year where they give 10 filmmakers money to make a feature or short or whatever. And yeah, we got the grant, and we were picked out of like nearly 100 filmmakers, and they gave 10 filmmakers that grant. So yeah.
I was actually one of those filmmakers that did not get the grant.
Oh,
so
sorry.
congratulations. Yeah, I'm Raymond Skip Wallace. I moved here about 3 years ago, so my knowledge of the whole tax incentive thing is pretty limited, other than what I've actually, oddly enough, learned in the museums. North Carolina History Museum actually has this great display about filmmaking in North Carolina, talking about Blue Velvet, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, that kind of stuff. It's, for me, I fell in love with filmmaking as a kid, pretty much like you. For me, it was, I think, Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark, and then Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I was like, wow, maybe I should try to do this. And then grabbed a VHS recorder and started making terrible movies with my friends, which hopefully have long since deteriorated and has been deleted. Till eventually went to school up in Maine for video production, and then worked in news for a little bit, and just kind of moved down here and realized, why did I lose my love of filmmaking? There's plenty of spaces to film and some talented folks here, so jumped back into it.
Okay, I'm an actress. I'm a character actress. My name's Carrie Jones, and well, it's a funny kind of story, because when my husband died, I joined this meetup group, and we were going to horror films, and I started laughing at this movie, and they didn't like it, and so they kicked me out. And then, to make a long story short, Christine and her partner Bill Mulligan adopted me, and they liked my spirit, which is awful scary, and and I've been in it now for over 10 years. And I've been in a lot of movies. Go to my IMDb page and look up Carrie Jones. But I just keep busy. I guess I'm scaring them as they go along. This is Christine Parker.
Thank you for introducing me. So I've been, I started, I guess, I mean, all my life I've liked telling stories. I used to record the TV shows on the television and then write them out in scripts, just to kind of understand, you know, how the structure was created and everything. And then later in life, you know, I moved here to North Carolina and met up with a group of people that was really interested in making movies. And so I wrote a script for a short film called The Second Death. And then from there we were all hooked, and we made our next film, which was a feature film, The Forever Dead. And we've just been making movies together ever since, you know. As far as the film incentives go, it hasn't affected me personally, because I think you have to have $1 million budget to get the tax incentives, and I've never had a budget like that. But we have lost a lot of really good actors and actresses and crew people who have moved to Georgia to look for better opportunities. And that's a shame, because it's a shame to lose all that talent from this area.
Yes, for sure. And not just the talent, but, you know, when production's here, they use our gas, shop at our stores, hire carpenter. I mean, they, you know, the whole economy benefits. So, so let's just clear it up. We got Skip and myself and Alan P. Sussler over there. He does some animated films, and we screened one of his films actually the last 2 years. So we are OBX over here, and then you guys are down there in Wilmington, and you guys are in the middle, right?
Yes.
The kind of Raleigh, Durham, Apex
Mhm.
area. Very cool. So, how do you guys figure out where you want to film? Like location scouts.
You got it? Oh, okay. That's a difficult question. Like I just, like in Wilmington, we just look for locations that match what we're going for, or I write a, you know, like write a location based off a place I already know, you know, because with having such a small budget, you can't really afford to like drive 3 hours with a whole crew and like house them for the whole night and all that. So it's just.
We did do that.
Well, we did do that actually. For one shot, we drove. I don't know how many people saw the film in here, but there's a scene with train tracks, and we could not find like train tracks that would let us shoot because who was it like?
The second AC.
Yeah, there was a member of a film production who died on a train track, and they were uninsured and all that. So now the train tracks don't want to touch us, and we found a train museum in Salisbury, North Carolina, which is like west, and we shot there no problem. So.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I don't think we have train tracks here. Do you guys have them over where you are?
Oh yes.
Oh, yeah.
See, next time you need some train tracks.
Yeah, they'd probably. Oh well.
They'd have to be abandoned probably.
Yeah, they'd have to be abandoned,
Nowhere in the
yeah.
southeast to let you shoot on active ones.
Yes.
And there is like an approval process like that you can go through to get train tracks, like actual train tracks. But to apply for it, it was like $8,000 to apply, and they can turn you down. So there
Yeah.
was no way we were doing that.
That's not good. And actually, Matt and I, we talked afterwards, and the hurricanes affect people in a lot of different ways. You guys are coastal NC, and I don't know if you were here, Skip, to hear Joe talk about how his prized prop was ruined in Hurricane Florence, and yeah, so there's a lot of hardships that we have to go through. But so you guys, Wilmington, if you haven't been, it's kind of like here, but it's like more like a quaint kind of town, right? Like.
Yeah, I'd say it's like a smaller version of like Charleston.
Yeah.
I'd say so.
Yeah.
Like very historic and all that. Yeah.
Nice, very nice. And then speaking of filming locations, Skip, he just kind of like accidentally fell into last year's film, which was Lost in Buffalo City, because he moved from Richmond, and you found your filming location just from hearing some stories about the swamps, and then you went out there, and it all unfolded from there,
Yeah,
right?
and then Google Earth is amazing for scouting locations, especially out here. Yeah, so Lost in Buffalo City, I was researching a documentary about the town, which, if you didn't know, is this old logging town out in the East Lake area that was abandoned. Went out there and kind of got lost in the woods and had a little inspiration from that, which then turned into Lost in Buffalo City. And then with Boy, it was more just Google Earthing things and finding the most expansive, unpopulated areas that I could within an hour's driving distance, which thankfully we live in the Outer Banks, so, fall, winter time, there's nobody out here,
Right.
which really works. And are there any National Park Service or U.S. Fish and Wildlife people out here? Good. So a quick tip, especially for out here, technically you need permits to film in those locations, but if your crew is small enough and you don't make a big fuss about where you are, you can pretty much go anywhere and film whatever you want without being disturbed, which is really awesome. So you can go out to the farmlands, you can go out to the beaches, you can go out to the swamps, the woods. It's very beneficial for this area at least.
Yeah, for real, and it's very, I don't know, like, you guys kind of have probably a few more stores than we do here. Like, we have Walmart and Kmart, and then just, the nearest malls in Virginia. But it's so, I mean, when we drive to visit Matt's parents in Virginia, it's only an hour and a half away, but there's cotton fields after cotton fields. And you just would never know that these two, like, areas are right next to each other. You got the sand and nothing, and then the swamps, and you guys live right in the middle, so you kind of probably don't get to see the ocean too much. Did you get to see it today at all?
No,
They just got here.
we just got here. Yeah. We plan to at some point. Yeah.
Yes. Have you ever filmed anything on the beach, or do you like the beach? Some people prefer inland.
I haven't filmed on the beach, but I have filmed at Jockey's Ridge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Normally people would write a script that for locations that they know they have access to, but I decided to write an Egyptian horror film about a mummy. So it's kind of hard to find places that look like Egypt. But Jockey's Ridge looked like an Egyptian desert, so and we found an escape room that was a mummy's tomb. So we filmed there for all of our mummy scenes. So yeah, so it turned out pretty good. There's a lot of places. I mean, we did a zombie western, and we found a guy who built an entire western town in his backyard, and he let us shoot there. So, all kinds of stuff in North Carolina.
Yeah. So what's your favorite place where you are to film? Do you have like
To
a
film?
special place that is like your go-to spot?
Preferably places without cat
My house.
Lots of people do that.
Yeah, I've shot in the spare room of my house because I know I can throw blood on the walls, and I can clean it up or repaint, and nobody will have a problem with it. But we shoot in a lot of different areas around there. I mean, not right in Raleigh, but Enfield. We've shot a lot of stuff there. In fact, Telltale Heart was shot there. They had a really cool old Airbnb, and they just let us have the whole place for a weekend, and it was awesome. Yeah.
Nice. What about where you guys are in Wilmington? Do you have any like favorite? Is there like a super spot to go, like that's your favorite, or that a lot of other productions use?
Well, the bar scene in our film, she actually acted in another film that used that bar, so that's probably the most common place that we've both worked, or shot films. But
The owner's really accommodating.
yeah, the owner's great. But,
Nice. So there's a bar we could use out there in Wilmington. Do you guys do stuff on the beach too out there, or not so much?
I've never shot anything on the beach. I thought about doing a video. I don't know if anybody saw Table 51 last year, but I had this alien, and I thought about setting up like a hidden camera on the beach and like putting like seaweed and stuff
Oh my
over
gosh.
the top of this alien and seeing what people would do. I never got around to it though.
Yeah, we talk about that too, but haven't gotten around to it. But sure would be funny, I think,
Yeah,
and
it'd be great.
awesome.
Hmm.
Nice. And so, what about you, Skip? You've been here now. Well, I know your favorite spot is like out there in nowhere
In
land,
the woods,
right?
yeah. Apparently, I'm a glutton for punishment because I keep doing all these stories that involve being outdoors and in terrible weather
Yeah.
situations.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, here in the Outer Banks in general. I mean, for Lost in Buffalo City, we rented a house and turned the living room into a different set, and took our friend Stuart's garage and turned that into a little studio that we then made shift into a green screen type studio. But yeah, mostly just being outdoors, I guess, is my kind of favorite.
Nice.
Location.
Very nice.
Talking about outdoors, we did a film. It was a feature-length film called Fix It in Post, and doing summer scenes on the coldest day of the year, sitting there, experiencing exposure to the elements. I can only speak as an actress. I've laid on floors with fake blood where cats have been. I'll leave it at that.
She's
Or
being
in-
produced.
But there are things you do. You sacrifice yourself for the situation at hand.
And for a great place.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
you're working with such great people you don't even notice. Not.
I've already talked about locations. So.
Location.
So do you guys usually just work? Do you work with each other all the time? Like I know you guys,
Not all the
you just got to know each other this year, but it seems like you have a good connection. And Cheyenne, you're a producer, but you're also an actress, and you started out as being like an awesome dancer, right? Like
Yeah.
not, I'm talking about like tap and ballet. And all
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I started competitively dancing when I was 3 years old, and then I got into competitive cheerleading. I started acting when I was 14, 15. I got my first talent agent up in Maryland, where I'm from. And it kind of really took off when I moved to Wilmington because I started going to Actors Arsenal and training with Ron Falica. He's an amazing, amazing talent, and so is his wife, Allie McCulloch. I don't know if anyone's heard of them, but they're great for acting. And yeah, I just auditioned, and all of my acting projects have been outside of my work with Joe. That might change in the future, I don't know.
Maybe.
We'll see.
Yeah.
But I produce with him.
What do you like better?
I get asked that all the time. It's such a tough question. I love doing both. I mean, I can pour more creativity into acting, and I don't have to worry about the logistics of it. money, time,
Right.
stuff like that. But you know, I love doing both. I do more acting, but producing takes longer to do than filming and you as an actor, you're only there for the filming part. You're not there for the
Right.
pre-production and post. So.
I know Skip knows all about that. So is this your first time to the Outer Banks?
Yes.
What do you
Actually.
think? I know you don't have a lot of time, but
Yeah, from what I've seen, I mean, the beach is beautiful. We didn't stay out there very long because it was freezing, but it seems nice. It's really small.
Mhm.
It's different from Wilmington. Even in the off season, Wilmington stays more poppin', I guess.
See, that would kind of be nice, don't you guys think? Who are locals? Like, if everything just didn't completely shut down all winter long, you know, because that's what happens around here. So maybe Joe, would you ever think about coming here to shoot something? Have you been? What about the Lost Colony? Everybody's talking about that. You guys went there for lunch yesterday, right?
Oh yeah, the brewery.
I was
yeah,
so
it's
nervous
good.
they weren't going to come back and get lost.
Yeah. Yeah, like if I had the right story idea that took place in the Outer Banks, that needed to take place here as opposed to where I'm already at, which is a beach town,
Right.
then I would, yeah.
I do have something to say.
Oh, okay.
That's all right.
Filming on the beach in Wilmington, you do have to have permits.
Oh yeah,
on
that's true.
permits.
That's
So,
good to know.
So we could get
you
around
know,
that.
on the Outer Banks, from what you said,
Yeah,
seems
we'll
we
take
can
your word
scoot
on it.
around that loophole.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That's great to know. See, these helpful tips are good. Let's see here. Skip, you're mostly, well, since we've known you, you've been like the director and the editor, and that does take up a lot of time, I'm sure. Like a lot more time. Like you probably spend the most time with the film itself than anyone. Do you have any acting experience or?
None at all, and I definitely want to keep it that way.
I hear ya. I hear
I'm strictly behind the camera kind of guy.
Yeah, yep. I know that kind of guy. So do you guys have your own camera people that you use back home?
Well, for this film, we got paired up with someone that was in our class because
Okay.
this was a senior thesis, like film at UNCW. So like that's how her and I got, like we just got paired up. Like we didn't pick each other, but then we worked really well together, and yeah. So the camera guy was just someone that was assigned to us, and thankfully he did a good job. So yeah, there was some sound issues. Ooh, I shouldn't be talking about this.
It's okay, we're not gonna tell.
Yeah,
I had a 6-year-old do my sound, trust me.
yeah. So we had to ADR the whole bar scene because someone left a refrigerator on, and it sounded like a helicopter landing, the whole scene. So we had to like redo all of the audio like in post, which was like really hard because it was like they were like crying and you know, very emotional scene that they had to like recreate. And sometimes I can tell that the sound's not right. So that still sticks with me, but
Yeah,
that was the
well,
only problem.
sound is a huge part of the finished product, as you know, we've learned more and more. And one thing I want to say is Skip last year, and you probably might have remembered Mike Trinati. He was here for like, I think he was probably here the same time you were. He had a In My Room was his film. He's from LA. Anyway, he's like a little more seasoned than us, but I found out just a few weeks ago that he and Skip had been working together after meeting here all the way across the country, which I thought was awesome, you know.
Yeah.
And
is nice.
yeah, and you guys are all so talented but you're different too. So yes, okay, we're gonna open up to the audience here. Does anybody have any questions for Yes?
Wondering if you guys can talk about the challenges of working just with the different weather that you get down.
Okay.
You have a pretty good idea about that.
Yeah. I don't know. You just gotta like roll with the punches. Like yeah, like what we just touched on. The film that we're doing next got pushed back months from when we were originally supposed to shoot. We were supposed to shoot what in like 2 weeks from now. Yeah. And then this demon suit that we were having made just got destroyed during the hurricane, and now he's got to start from scratch, and we gotta roll with it, and we might shoot in March now, hopefully. So
Nice. Is it very windy where you are? Because here we have extreme wind. Like the Wright brothers chose to fly the airplane here for a reason.
I don't think it's too windy in
No.
Wilmington. No.
It's really flat too, so.
Yeah.
It's pretty flat here too, except for the Jockey's Ridge. What about you all?
Weather can be a nightmare, and I've learned to expect to lose a day of shooting just because of rain. You never know when it's going to pop up. Especially, we filmed Lost in Buffalo City over a week in last March of 2017. We had 7 days planned out. We had to do it in 5.5 because of rain that popped up. And then each day was different. We had 30-degree temperatures one day, 60 degrees the next, and we were out in the middle of the swamps with no bathroom. For Boy, we were lucky where we only lost a day. And for, I don't know if you guys saw it, but the road scene was planned out to do over 2 days. And we had to push through and just knock it out in one day. And thankfully, people drove by so we could use them without them knowing in the film. Because that second day, we had planned to bring a bunch of people out with their cars so we could time things out and make it perfect. But the forecast just wasn't going to work. And, I mean, the weather here is awesome when it's awesome, but it can turn, you know, that day. A storm could pop up and you wouldn't even know it was coming until it's right on top of you. So, but like you said, you just adapt and you roll with it.
So how's the weather there in the middle? Is the mosquito the state bird over there too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
But
And in
the
case
bane
you
of
know,
our
these three are
existence.
filmmakers from Minnesota.
Yeah.
So the first thing he asks is like, "Is it humid here?" I'm like, "My hair was straight before I left the house," and
Yeah.
you know,
and you're
like,
sweating so hard. Makeup.
yeah.
Especially if you're doing a horror film, the
Yes.
makeup doesn't
Yeah.
stick very well in the heat and stuff. We haven't had too many like really serious weather issues. We had one time where we had torrential rains and everybody's car got stuck in the mud. And that fortunately we had somebody that had like a hitch on their truck and was able to tow everybody out. But we had to go back the next day because it was somebody's property and stamp out all the rivets we made in their yard. It was terrible. And we were supposed to shoot outside that night, but we changed it to an indoor scene, so we just kind of went with it. Other than that, I don't think we've had too many weather issues. I did experience the wind at Jockey's Ridge for sure. But fortunately, we had a pop-up tent that we were using, so we kept everybody close to the tent and kept the microphone inside the tent, and that cut back most of the wind. So that turned out pretty good too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am in the hat, festive hat.
What is the largest budget film that you've done to date? And have you received any grants from the state of North Carolina?
I have not received any grants. My largest budget film was $13,000. That was the last one I did.
North Carolina Filmmakers, yeah.
Nice,
Mhm.
nice.
And they actually prioritize female
Oh.
and minority filmmakers. So
That's good to know.
yeah.
Yes.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you.
for joining us. My question is directed to the character actress. And I noticed, actually my question is directed to the two women actresses. You said you were an actress, and you said you were a character actress. Is that due to your maturity? Why did you qualify yourself as a character actress?
Good question. Number one, at my age, you don't get as many lines. No, I'm only kidding. Honestly, I have lived one heck of a well-lived life. I've been up and down the East Coast. I've been to Africa. I've been to Romania 3 times, Paris, London. I have met people from every walk of life, and I always liked to do impersonations. My father used to do W.C. Fields and stuff like that, which encouraged me to do people like Ethel Merman and stuff. I used to be a nightclub performer, and I do impersonations. And then I was doing comedy in Norfolk, Virginia. We would do like skits like they do on Saturday Night Live. And then I was married for a while, kind of sat back. And plus, I was a teacher, and I was performing every day, sometimes on Saturdays. But then my husband died, and I tried dating, and that really sucked. I got some extra cats, and I started acting. But, you know, I like to be all the people that I have ever met. They are just such rich in personality. And a lot of times, too, I can reach back into situations that I've been in. Matter of fact, you had me the lead on one where it was a woman who was abused. Well, my first husband abused me. And he abused me mentally and physically. And I was able to pull that out. Matter of fact, it was a form of catharsis. A lot of times we're healing ourselves on the screen. So I'll put it that way. I hope I answered your question.
I don't consider myself a character actor. The roles I get cast in, there's been way different age range. My last role, I was a 16-year-old heroin addict. I played a 24-year-old lonely girl. Like, it ranges, but at the root of it, it always goes back to myself and who I am. And I also do the opposite technique. I use Meisner technique. If you don't know what that is, it's using imaginary circumstances to create your own reality, so you're not digging deep into what can be painful past experiences. It's making up a story. It's hard to explain, but it works. So
Nice. And I know you guys, you're just a few years apart. You're just a couple years older. But do you have any advice for each other? Or actually, it should really be, does she have any advice for you as you grow? If there's anything.
Well, do what works for you. Everybody has their own way of approaching acting. And this works for me. I can't tell you what works for you. You've had some formal training. I've had the stage. I've had other things that I've done. But this works for me. And, of course, I'm a character actress. I take character roles. And for what you do, if it works, go with it.
Good answer. And I thought that your response was actually very mature, didn't you think? You know, it's like you've already walked through life and you have a very different approach, but it seems like it's working for you for sure. Yes.
For Joe and Cheyenne, you bring up the prop that was destroyed. Did you have any kind of insurance or anything that would cover something like that?
That's actually not my problem at this point. It's my special effects guys, because I've paid him, and he says he's gonna keep working at it. So I'm assuming that it was insured. So I mean, if I had like decided not to make the movie, then that would have been the issue. Is like that would be where I lost money. But I haven't seen any problem with it yet.
You're going to put a hurricane clause in your contract now, right?
Yeah, no, I actually, this did teach me a lesson of like getting everything in paperwork, because I may have had to cancel this movie, and I would be out $5,000. So, yeah. Actually, yeah, that's my biggest budget so far, is this movie that I'm making right now. So, yeah, I'm thinking it's gonna be about 10 grand. So, yeah.
Yes. This is Courtney Gallup and Ben. They own our local funeral home, just so you know. And they're awesome, great supporters. And around here, there's two places you go when you die. Somewhere else, and then these guys. So they're awesome. Thank you, guys. Go ahead, Courtney.
Back to the actors, because there ain't no movie without the actors and the actresses. To the actresses, my question is there, if someone says you are perfect for this role, but I need you to be bald, gain 50 pounds, and be in a homosexual act, it's something so out of your character. As actresses, have you done something that radical, and are you willing to?
Nothing that extreme. It depends on the role. It depends on who's making the movie. It depends. There's a lot of fact what else I'm doing at the time. I mean, the most I've had to do, I've been in a relationship for almost 5 years now. And the first time I had to kiss someone and be intimate with them on screen was really weird at first for me, but I got past it. It's fine now. But yeah, that's the most I've done so far. I can't say I will or won't do something until the opportunity arises. I wouldn't shave my head, though.
There's prosthetics for that.
Okay. You would have asked that question. We did the 48-hour film contest in Greensboro. Matter of fact, we won. But I had to do a real stretch. I wear a denture. I'm 66 years old. You know, I've had some health problems that have been resolved, but I wear a denture. And that takes a lot for me to stand in front of you and tell you this, because back then it was a new experience. You would never, ever, ever catch me with that. I mean, I go to sleep, I won't let my cat see me without it. But in any event, Christine wanted me to play a really rough old lady in Exorcising Demons. I suggest you get online and watch that. But the way that it worked out, it was really, I went home, she had suggested me removing it, and I said, absolutely not. No, that I won't do. And then I sat in my house that evening, and it hit me. We're in a contest, and we need to bring it. And if you're going to be a character actress, well, darn it, you better bring it. And I did it. And it was so, it freed me on many different levels. I still won't take it out in front of the cats. But honestly and truly, if you're going to take something on, and if it means making that role good, it's like when I was a teacher, I taught at a trade and technical college. I said to my students, do whatever your boss tells you, as long as you are safe, it doesn't conflict with your values. And there was no conflict, so I did what she told me. And it came out a lot better because of it.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I know we just met, but don't they seem so sweet? I can't imagine, like, all... Anyway, I know that we could probably talk to each other for a long time, but kind of got to keep things rolling.